Hey everybody, this is Modern Refugee. I dug out some of my mom's old canning books to share with you guys here today. And Mom had a passion for canning, and it was a necessity. It was a way of life growing up. And I learned to can when I was probably 8 years old, when I can remember actually, helping do all manners of things around the kitchen. And Mom had an extensive library of old cookbooks and old notes and everything. And she had, of course, canning books. And she had some preferences in canning books. And I have several different old canning books here. Now, canning books get revised and they, different food safety, things are changed from one year to the next. But I find that my mom followed a lot of the older recipes out of these canning books, even if there was revisions on them. So to me, finding a canning book at a secondhand store or garage sale or anything like that, that's a solid gold find. And I do have one new canning book here that I actually purchased from the Amish, a little while ago. And this is the first new book that I've added to my mom stuff here, and then hopefully, my kids can do something with it down the road. But anyway, this is the first book here. This is a ball blue book, and pretty well worn, but see down there on the bottom, the copyright is 1953, and Mom had ball blue books, but as a general rule, she preferred the Kerr canning books. And at the time, Kerr and Ball were competitors, and then they have since merged. And but Kerr was the books that my mom followed the most. And this one right here actually is pretty well worn too, even though this has a newer copyright dates in this, and there's even some notes written in this one. And the copyrights out of this Kerr book here start in 1958 and they go up to 1982. And that's, you guys can see that down there on the bottom. Those are the dates that are on this Kerr book. And there were specific recipes in the Kerr book that she followed, and one is the bread and butter pickle recipe. Mom always would make what they called Kerr crispy lunch pickles, and those were, I've actually used that recipe too now, but I like a little jalapeno in mine, so I add a little jalapeno compared to the bell pepper that Mom always put in. But Mom always preferred the Kerr recipes and the Kerr books. And then this one here, this is the last one that Mom purchased, and this one is dated 1996. And then after that, I'm not sure if because Kerr merged with Ball, and I'm not sure that's the same anymore. But these have some really good recipes in them. Anything from pickles and relishes to different recipes to actually use your canned goods. And I get that a lot more than you would think. People will say to me, how do I use this stuff that I can, whether it's canned tomatoes or canned potatoes? And I basically tell them anything that's commercially canned, that you got a recipe that calls, for a 14.5 ounce of commercially canned stewed or crushed tomatoes, whatever, you can use your home canned tomatoes that exact same way, the exact same measurements and whatnot. I never take for granted that people know kind of the basic stuff when it comes to home canned stuff, so I always try to explain that as simple as possible. And then this is the other canning book that I got here from the Amish, and again, this has a lot of recipes in it to utilize the canned goods. And I think that's a big thing with the preppers, is they know how to use what they're putting up. There's always people always say, you don't want to put anything up that you're not going to use. And a lot of things that I personally can myself are ingredients that go into other dishes. You know, I don't just open up a can of stewed tomatoes and just warm that up and eat that. It's always going to go into something else. The same thing like with canned potatoes or whatever. You know, you just don't open it up and eat the canned potatoes. You know, they go into a stew, they go into a soup, they get drained, they go into fried potatoes, they get made into potato salad. You know, there's always something. So when you're canning, don't always think that that's going to be a specific thing that you're going to use just like that. Think of it more as you're putting up ingredients to make decent meals when the time comes. But anyway, canning books. Wanted to just share them with you guys here, especially this old ball one here. It looks like it's walked the walk over the years, and there's some good information in here. They get into a lot of the how to clean and process if you're canning this or that, you know, how to cut it up, what the dice should look like. You know, there's a lot of really decent information that a beginner can use. So if you run across any type of old canning books and you could get a deal on them, be sure to add those to your library. There's a lot of good information in those old canning books that's practical today yet. Anyway, this is Modern Refugee. Appreciate all my subscribers out there. Hope you guys got a little information and a little entertainment out of this video as always, and you guys have a good one.